Hi ladies and gentlemen, and today I wanted to talk about this new exciting Sony camera that was just announced today, the RX100 Mark VI. It is a very exciting camera, and it's very exciting for me. Plan on buying one, and the most exciting thing about the new camera is obviously the lens, the 24-200 lens in this pocketable camera. To me, this will be a perfect camera to take to concerts and also to take on vacations, but concerts is the first thing that came to mind when I saw this camera. Most of the time when you go to a concert and you don't have a press pass, the rules are pretty strict in most of the arenas and venues around where I live in the United States. You can't bring any cameras with you that have interchangeable lenses, and also you cannot bring any cameras that look professional to the staff at the venue, which is basically anything large or anything that looks fancy, has lots of buttons and things like that. Now, in terms of RX100 Mark VI, what I like about this camera, it's a very clean camera. There's not much written on it. It's a simple and the fact that it's so simple, I think that I'll be able to bring this camera anywhere I want, and that would be amazing. Now, in terms of the competition between RX100 Mark VI, the first camera that came to mind, of course, is the Panasonic TZ100, which is also called ZS100. The ZS100 is a camera which I actually owned at one point and used it as a vacation camera, or I took it to some concerts until it actually broke, which was actually a pathetic situation because the lens just stopped working at one point, and I sent it to Panasonic. Panasonic in the United States is being repaired by some company in Texas, and they sent me back a bill for $400. The price of the camera was $699, so I decided not to fix it and just basically sold it for parts. But Panasonic TZ100 had the lens that went from 25 to 250. I'm talking about TZ100, ZS100, the first iteration of that camera. It also had a 1-inch sensor, also had a 4K video, and that came out in 2016, so over 2 years ago. So Sony is obviously not the first to release a pocketable camera with a zoom like this and a 1-inch sensor. The problem that I found with the TZ100, and I don't know if it was the narrow aperture or just the way the camera was working, but my frustration was that when I would take it to concerts, the autofocus in low light or whatever light I had at the concert, at tele end of the camera sucked. Basically, it was very poor, and it haunted a lot, and I was not happy with the autofocus in low light, which basically what the concert photography is all about. When I took it to vacation, it was working decently, but I was never floored by the autofocus speed in that camera. I mean, it does have EVF just like a Sony, although it's a smaller one, but it costs $699 versus $1,200. But why do I want the Sony then, right? Well, first of all, as you just heard, I did not enjoy TZ100, and I did not like the camera, and it broke, and the cost of the repair was ridiculous, so I will not buy it again, and I would not buy TZ200 based on my experience with the TZ100. No thank you, Panasonic. With the Sony, I've had pretty good experience with their cameras. with RX100 line. I had RX100 Mark I, Mark II, and I believe Mark III or Mark IV. And I liked each and every one of them. Of course, starting from Mark III, the zoom went to 24 to 70 with f1.8 to 2.8, which is nice, but obviously you can't use it as a concert camera by any stretch of imagination. Now with the Sony RX100 Mark VI, that lens, Sony claims, is very, very fast, and the autofocus is really, really fast. I'd like to know how fast it is in low light, such as I can use it for concert photography, but I think I'm probably gonna have to find out myself by purchasing this camera. The autofocus, the IF, I do have other Sony cameras. I have A7R3, and I had pretty much all the other ones in A7 line. I had A9, so I know what to expect from the autofocus in those cameras. Now, if it's truly like that in RX100, that would be amazing. Shooting 24 frames per second, I probably don't need that fast, but even if I can shoot 10 or 12, take this camera to a concert, take a few shots of my favorite performer, that would be amazing. The 5-minute limit on 4K could be a drawback for some of you, not for me. I'm not as much a videographer as I like to take photographs, so the video capacity, 5 minutes at 4K is probably good enough for me. So that's not a problem. The battery life is not great, but I have a bunch of those batteries already because I also have RX1, which uses the same battery, so yeah, it should be fine. So the key for me is autofocus in low light at tele-end. If that works fine. This is a small pocketable camera, even smaller than TZ100. I can put it in my pocket, I can take it anywhere. I'm very excited about this camera. I hope it works just like I imagine it should, and I will buy it, and I'll definitely make sure that I tell you about my experience with it when I get it. With that in mind, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you watching the video. Bye bye.